The Rwandan Genocide, a tragic story. In a small country called Rwanda, located in the heart of Africa, a terrible event occurred in 1994. It was a time of great sadness, fear, and violence. This event is known as the Rwandan Genocide. A country divided, Rwanda was a country with three main ethnic groups: the Hutu, the Tutsi, and the Twa. The Hutu made up about 85% of the population, while the Tutsi made up about 14%. The Twa were the smallest group, making up only about 1% of the population. For many years, the Hutu and Tutsi had lived together in Rwanda, but there were also many years of tension and conflict between them. The Hutu had been in charge of the government for many years, and they treated the Tutsi unfairly. The assassination of the president. On April 6, 1994, the president of Rwanda, Juvenal Habyarimana, was assassinated. He was a Hutu, and his death was blamed on the Tutsi. This event sparked a wave of violence and hatred against the Tutsi. The genocide begins. Radio stations and newspapers, controlled by the Hutu government, began to spread false messages and hatred against the Tutsi. They called the Tutsi cockroaches and snakes, and told the Hutu that it was their duty to kill them. The Hutu militia, known as the Interahamwe, began to go from house to house, killing Tutsi and moderate Hutu. They used machetes, guns, and other weapons to kill their victims. The world watches in silence. The international community, including the United Nations, was aware of the violence and killings in Rwanda, but they did not intervene. They thought that it was an internal conflict and that it was not their responsibility to get involved. The suffering of the Tutsi. The Tutsi were forced to flee their homes and hide in the bush or in churches. Many were killed while trying to escape. Others were trapped in their homes, where they were brutally murdered. Women and girls were raped, and many were forced to watch as their families were killed. Children were orphaned, and many were forced to live on the streets. The heroism of some. Despite the overwhelming violence and hatred, there were some Hutu who risked their lives to save their Tutsi neighbors. They hid them in their homes, gave them food and water, and helped them to escape. One such hero was a man named Paul Rusesabagina, who was a manager of a hotel in Kigali, the capital city of Rwanda. He used his hotel as a refuge for over 1,000 Tutsi and moderate Hutu, and he worked tirelessly to protect them from the Interahamwe. The aftermath. The genocide lasted for 100 days, from April 6 to July 15, 1994. During this time, an estimated 800,000 people were killed, mostly Tutsi. The country was left in ruins, and many people were forced to flee to neighboring countries. The international community was shocked and ashamed by their failure to intervene. The United Nations established the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda to prosecute those responsible for the genocide, remembering the past. Today, Rwanda is a country that is still healing from the wounds of the genocide. The government has established museums and memorials to remember the victims and to educate people about the dangers of hatred and intolerance. The Rwandan Genocide is a reminder of the importance of respecting and valuing human life. It is a reminder that we must always stand up against hatred and intolerance, and that we must work towards creating a world where everyone can live in peace and dignity. To stay informed about rich and complex history of Africa, to discover the fascinating stories and events that have shaped Africa's history, follow Chronicles of African History for engaging content, and like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date. Thank you.